You ever want to watch a Disney movie where a demon is trying to get a hockey player to sell his soul to win the Stanley Cup? And yes, this is a family friendly Disney movie with Marie Antoinette's head as a secretary. Well, that is HE Double Hockey Sticks with Rio Perlman as Miss B. Miss B, head of the Beelzebub School for Children. And this is Steve Sanders Massacres the Movie. I'm Steve Sanders. And this is HE Double Hockey Sticks, which begins with apparently our hero, played by Will Friedle. He was a little bit annoying in this movie, but not overly annoying, so you don't enjoy the film. Hearing the music that's playing over the credits as he's singing along and saying hello to everyone in hell who apparently hates his guts. Because, as I said, he is a tad bit annoying. And then he goes and sees Miss B, who says he is the worst student in history. So apparently his Eric Matthews character is just himself. Because he was the worst student in history as Eric Matthews. So she's sending him to the surface to get a soul, which is going to be an easy soul, because this guy's already said he will sell his soul to win the Stanley Cup. Because he wants to be the youngest player in history to win the Stanley Cup. But who doesn't want to be the youngest player in history to win something? So, he goes to the surface and immediately figures out ice hockey is played where it's cold, which we already knew, except, of course, in Texas and California and other parts of the South where there is no natural ice to play ice hockey on. I still don't get why they have ice hockey in those states. So he immediately buys things to warm himself up at and meets Gabby, his contact, played by Gabrielle Union, in a Disney movie. This must have been at the start of her career when she was willing to do anything. She probably would have been doing OnlyFans if that was around at this time. And he tries to meet the guy, but he cannot. So Gabrielle Union gives him his address, at which point he is not home, but he figures out how to get his cell phone working, which makes people do what he wants and can control electronics, where he meets the guy, played by Matthew Lawrence, his girlfriend's kid, and his girlfriend's kid gets him into the locker room. So he meets Matthew Lawrence's character named Dave Heinrich and offers him his soul and tells him he can sell his soul to the devil to win a Stanley Cup. At which point he says, I'm not buying what you're selling. Which, of course, if anyone came up to you and said, hey, will you sell your soul to do this thing? You'd be like, cut the shit, dude. Get the fuck out of here. So he says, I will make the worst player on your team score 3 goals. And he does. And he goes up to them next day and says, do you believe you in me now? And then he makes coffee appear out of thin air with 2 sugars. And he says, I'm late for my hockey game. So he is getting nowhere fast with this dude. At which point he meets up with Gabby again. And he meets up with the kid again. And he makes Dave's hockey puck stick to Dave like glue, which is some way to get a guy to sell his soul, because saying your hockey puck's got to stick to you until you agree to this is some way to get him to sell your soul. I would just hit him in the nuts with a hockey puck 20, 30 times until he agreed. But hey, I'm just old school like that. So he agrees to sell his soul to the devil. Only problem is his girlfriend then breaks up with him. So Gabby tells the demon, whose name is Grizz, to get his girlfriend back together with him, and then Grizz has human feelings for these people. At which point Miss B realizes this and has Dave traded to the worst placed teams. At which point Grizz and Dave realizes the deal isn't for Dave to win the Stanley Cup, but for his team, the Delaware Demons, to win the Stanley Cup. So Grizz, instead of going back to hell as he's ordered, goes to Annapolis, the Annapolis Angels, where Dave has been traded, to get them to win the Stanley Cup. Because there's 45 minutes left in this movie, and they couldn't stretch selling your soul to the devil into an hour and a half. So Grizz talks Dave into being the player to assist the players, not being a hockey puck hog anymore, but being the player who assists the players into getting goals. And Annapolis Angels go to the Stanley Cup Finals. And we go to Game 7 because they didn't want to show us the rest of the games. They just show us the last one, not even barely acknowledging that it's a multi-game series in the hockey finals. And they tie it up 3-3, which isn't really a hockey score. Hockey scores are more like 1-0 or 2-2. Hockey matches are very low scoring affairs typically. So then Miss B comes to the hockey game and gets Dave taken out by his own guy. So Grizz dresses up like Dave, and they do the Louis Lefty, which is a play made by the kid. And Grizz scores the final winning goal. And Dave wins the Stanley Cup, winning his soul back in the process. And he also gets his girl back in the process, proving he was an unselfish player. And Gabrielle is revealed to be working for the enemy, for heaven, where Grizz now goes to work. And it all works out in the end, proving that it is a Disney movie. And Marie Antoinette's head is still a secretary, which is the funniest part of the whole movie. This is actually a pretty good movie. It's pretty funny, and it's on YouTube for free because Disney does not distribute this movie, so it's not on Disney Plus. Disney probably doesn't want anything to do with this movie, considering it has a lot to do with the devil. But it's pretty funny and pretty entertaining, so you should watch it. Now, here's a word from my sponsor. Tired of everything falling out of your pockets when you reach in to get something? Need somewhere to keep everything you need to carry around with you? Get a wallet. In it, you can carry your IDs, your credit cards, your money, everything important in your life, including your children. They'll fit in it too. Just put everything in it, and if it can't fold, just use a rubber band and fold it up and put it in your pocket. Who cares if when you try to open it up, everything springs out like it's attached to a spring? Who cares? It's a wallet. Get one today.